Hi everyone, Carrie Dunce here sharing my fourth tech tool, which is Storybird. I selected this resource because I wanted to find a creative resource for story writing and sharing, and this is exactly that. My purpose was to find a free and easy tool that gave creative story writing options to students, and also one that was easy for a teacher to manage and that parents could view as well. My audience is second through fifth graders and my coworkers. Standards are Educator Citizen 3A and Student Empowered Learner 1C. So some of the features that come with Storybird. First, it is free for teachers to create a login. All you need is your email address. Then you can see I've already created one class, but you can click the drop down arrow and you can add a class yourself and create a class name, and then you can select the grade level, and then you'll hit next, and that'll create your first class. Once you do that, let's go into my students tab. Then you can create and you can manage your different student accounts. There's two different ways you can create usernames. First, I can type in a username that I would like to give a student. So I'm going to go with Buffalo45. One thing that I have found with these is if it's already been taken, you can see Buffalo 4, that's already been taken. You have to choose something else. So sometimes you have to get kind of creative. And then I can enter Mary helping. There's her. Oh, actually that was the password. So I'm just going to put first name for Mary. Password, usually I have it pop up with a temporary, and then they can go in and reset, which is what I did up here with this student. If you know the parent's email, you can go ahead and add it, but you can also invite them later, and I can show you how to do that too. Then add account, and it'll go ahead and pop up with a temporary. If you have younger students and you want to assign them a password, you could also do that as well. So that's one way you can add their username. If you have a lot of students like I do, you can come down to the bottom and where it says bulk account creation, you can click there so that you're going to be able to generate, let's say we need to generate 8 accounts. You can put in whatever you want for the root name, suffix or prefix. It'll give you an example of what it would look like down here. I prefer the suffix first, and generate accounts. That's another way. If you want to do a lot in a very quick time, I would probably do something like this when I have hundreds of students, but you may want to make it a little bit simpler depending on the age of your student. Then you can put in first name, last name if you want. It kind of is easier for a teacher to see that, but that is up to you. And then add to student list. That's an easier way if you want to go that route, or you can create your own. So two different ways. And then later you can add student names, you can change passwords, you can do all of those later as well. Within this as well, down at the bottom, one thing I liked is once you have everything in there, you can hit print class list. It'll pop up with a whole list for you of the usernames, the name of the student, and the password, so you can have one handy sheet that has everything ready for you. I thought that was pretty handy. You also can hit print invitations, and that will pop up with a letter for your student, gives them the temporary password, tells them where to go, and it also gives the ClassPass code for parents, which I went through and did this as well. You can sign up as a parent. Every time your student creates a story, it'll send you an email and you can then view it and have those options. So let's go back. Now that we've kind of gone through adding students and those options, the next tab is library. So in my library right now, you can see only one of my students, which is actually myself, has created a story. I can go in, I can view, I can sort it by the title, or by the student as well to make it a little easier to find what I would like. I can also click on assignments. I've already created one sample assignment, but if you want to assign an assignment for your whole class, click on Create Assignment. You can put in a name, a description, give some directions for your students of what you want them to do. I thought this part was cool. If you have a YouTube video or something you want to share to help your students and to kind of guide them, you can add that here, and that'll go right in with the assignment. You can add an image to go with it. Then it gives you the option of limiting the artwork or letting them choose from all the artwork. And then you can also select if you have a certain format of your storybook. Maybe you just want it to be a picture book. You can choose that as well, or you can leave it open-ended for your students. And then finally, you add in your due date for students if you want it to be done by a certain time. So that's how you create an assignment. Once you do that, this is what one of my assignments looks like. It's fables, and I added a YouTube video, what are fables, and it goes through and it kind of gives students an idea before they then can click on do this assignment. And all those will pop up in your teacher library once those are done and completed by your students. All right, next, let's look at the reading tab up at the top. And there is a note up here just so that teachers are aware. Students in grade 6 and under only see stories appropriate for their grade level. So that is something that you don't have to worry too much about monitoring when students come into this tab. When you get to the Read tab, your students are going to be able to look at other stories that have been created, and they can start reading them. It also gives categories. So if your students have a certain category, they're really interested in scary, they can click on the scary category, and they can see stories that they then can click on, and they can read Monsters Don't Exist, and they can click and read stories written by other people. If they like them, they have an option to heart it. That was a great one. I'm going to give it a heart. So they are getting to interact, and they also have the ability to comment on other people's stories as well. So that's kind of a neat, if your students are wanting some time to read and see what others have created, that is a neat option for them. Under the Learn tab, we actually are not going to do that one. Let's go back to Create. So if your students are starting an assignment or they just want to create their own story, this is where they're going to go first. They're going to be given pictures to start with for inspiration. So as they're looking, they're seeing what's going to inspire my writing today. And maybe that's going to be this one. Click on it. It'll pop up so that you can see it. It'll tell you who made the picture. If that's the one they want, students click on Use This Art. Long form book, picture book, or poem. I'm going to make this a picture book. And then it pops up with what they're going to create. So here's our picture that we picked for inspiration, and then you can see on the sides there are other pictures that students can add in to add their story. So we're going to start with our cover page first. They give you some different options, and let's go with a landscape option. And I'm going to go ahead and keep this as my title. My picture for my first page, and I'm gonna call this Jokes Are Funny. And then it does whatever the username is that will pop up. They do not want actual names written in there, but you can also see that on the title page as well. You can change the colors if you want those to be changed as well. Then I'm going to click right over here, and this is going to take me to where I can add some different pages. So here's page 1. Over on the right, the plus will add pages. If you've ever created a page and you want it to be deleted, that's this minus over here. I'll ask you, do you want to remove this page? Yes. So how this works, once you've gotten some pages added, you're going to find a picture that inspires you to go along with your story, and we're going to say we want this picture. You can click on it to enlarge it a little bit, and you can click and drag it over. You can see as you hover the different options that it can give you where your writing can be. So I'm going to have it stay here. This is the text box where I would add whatever I want to write about my page. Here's a new page. We're going to choose another picture. Got the monster. And these drop down arrows can make that go away if we want to see better. Click and drag. And I'm going to have this one be a full page of pictures. Arrow back up. You also, as you start adding pictures, can click and drag so that you can change the order of the pictures as well. So if you decide the flow of your story isn't working, that's how you can change it. So that's the basics of what students would do to create their story. They can hit save throughout, and then when they're finished, save and exit. You have the option to click My Story Isn't Finished Yet if only you want to be able to view it. That's where you would click. If you are finished, you can make it be private, only friends and family. And then later, a public option can be done by the teacher. So I'm going to select My Story Isn't Finished Yet. And then I'm going to go back to the dashboard. So as a teacher, what it looks like when you get into your class and you can see what they have added. I went in as one of my students and created a story so that I can see my student Georgie, who has username Buffalo2, 20 minutes ago submitted an assignment. So then you can come in and you can click on their story, Adventures of Reading. I can scroll through and read, and I can see the pictures that they have added with their story. So this gives you that view of your students' work. Then as a teacher, I can add it to a certain assignment I've already created. If it for some reason doesn't go there, I can assign a letter grade, and then it will notify the student of that. Or if you need to put in a numeric grade, you can do that there. Down here, you can give your student private or public feedback. That is your choice. So as I type in here, if I select only the author can see this comment, that's only going to go to the author. If you want it to be public feedback, then you would just type in here and hit post. These notes over here are not going to be seen by your students. They're really just for your reference, maybe to remember where to put that grade in, or something you want them to work on or you really liked. Whatever notes you need to put in there, you can type right here and click Save Note. So that is the basics of how Storybird works. I think several different grade levels, 2nd through 5th grade, even middle school, high school can use this. I also like how it has the reading tab so that you can see what other people have written. It has that collaboration where you can write back and forth to people, whether you know them or you don't. And also the option that it gives where you can add those parents, and parents have the option to get notification and be able to read the stories that their students have written. Hope you enjoyed Storybird. Thanks for watching.